guys, happy Friday the 13th. My name is Brittany if you don't know, and I shoot videos based around the paranormal and around mythological creatures. So if that's something that you think might interest you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. And we're going to dive into our topic of the day. Now, what better thing to talk about on Friday the 13th than Friday the 13th? We're going to dive into some of the lore and history that revolves around this day. And then we're actually going to read some true stories that are supposed to have happened to people on Friday the 13th. So, Friday the 13th is considered to be a day of bad luck. Now, today I have burnt my finger, I got car sick, I've had a few not the best things happen today. But they're things that could have happened at any given point in time, and on any given day of the week. So, nothing really like paranormal or crazy. However, there's actually a pretty interesting concept on why Friday the 13th is so unlucky, and it does have to do with Christianity. Now, according to a biblical tradition, 13 guests attended the Last Supper, and it was held on Maundy Thursday, and the following day was Good Friday when Jesus was crucified. However, during the Last Supper, Jesus sat at the table with his 12 apostles. Now, the seating arrangement at the Last Supper is believed to have given rise to a long-standing Christian superstition that having 13 guests seated at a table is actually a bad omen, and it's almost like you're calling on death. So, in the late 19th centuries, a New Yorker named Captain William Fowler actually sought to remove this long-standing superstition about the number 13, because 13 is very widely considered a bad number. So he decided to create this elite secret society called the 13 Club. Now, in this 13 Club, they dined once a month on the 13th of every month. They also would eat in room 13 of the Knickerbocker Cottage, and which that was a popular watering hole that Fowler actually owned from 1863 to 1883. And during this dinner, they would have a 13-course meal, and they'd actually pass under a ladder and under a banner right before their 13-course meal. And the banner actually read, Morituri te salutamus, which is Latin for those of us who are about to die, we salute you. And the other thing is 4 former U.S. presidents, which was Chester A. Arthur, Grover Cleveland, Benjamin Harrison, and Theodore Roosevelt, would also join the 13th Club at one point in time. Now, that's really all there was to say about the 13th Club. There wasn't really any stories. However, if you guys can find some, I would love for you guys to send them my way. I'd also love to know if you guys have any opinions about your feelings about the number 13, or if you had any experience that happened today or on any Friday the 13th. So we're actually going to dive in and read some of those true Friday the 13th stories. Now, just keep in mind, I do not know the people who wrote these stories, so I cannot vouch completely for their truth. However, they are stated to be true, and we're going to see what you guys think. Now, I'm going to read these off of my phone, which is a Stitch case because I love Stitch and Scrump. And the first one is called the Creepy Caller. Creepy Caller. So this one says, I was alone in the house. An unknown number called me, and I could hear the same TV show I was watching in the background. I kept saying hello and my voice would echo back. I thought it was just one of those broken calls where you hear your mic feedback, but what happened next creeped me out. Right before I put down the call, I heard a voice whispering, "Goodbye, good night." I stared at the phone confused as to what had happened. Then I said, "Hello?" Again. The static and the echo disappeared. It was all quiet, then suddenly, "Hi." I put down the phone, turned off the TV, then ran to bed. So, if this happened to me, I would put down the phone, but I wouldn't bother turning off the TV. I would not be able to go to bed. I would run straight out of the house and into my car. There is no way I'd be able to sleep after that. So the next one is called The Haunted Discman. It says, I was at a friend's house a few years ago, helping her clean and organize her room. We were alone in the house with the radio playing quietly. I get to the bottom drawer of her dresser. It's filled with random stuff she didn't know what else to do with. I reach the very bottom of the drawer and I find an old Discman. A few minutes later, I notice music playing other than the radio, so she turns it off to figure out where it's coming from. I can hear something playing out of the headphone jack of the CD player. So we plugged it in. We plugged in some headphones and took a listen. A woman was singing. She had a pleasant voice, but it was no language I could recognize. The instruments felt unfamiliar too, not like normal guitar and percussion, but a strange combination of electronic-like sounds. We unplugged the headphones and opened the player. No CD was inside, no batteries either. I've yet to come up with an explanation. Now, this one could quite possibly be true. I am inclined to believe that it is because a lot of spirits, they do communicate through electronics. So she could have, but they don't communicate like we do. So you wouldn't be able to hear it as clear, which could be why they didn't know what they were hearing completely. And then this one's a little bit longer, but I did find it quite interesting. So it says, when I was 16, I would jump on my trampoline out back for hours. One night, when I was jumping, a kid ran past our fence full speed carrying a box about the size and shape of a skateboard. He ran to the park behind my house and held it by the edge, then tossed it into the air so that it flipped a few times before landing on the ground. He was just stood over it, staring for a pretty long time. Then he just bolts full speed back past our fence, like he didn't even notice I was there. The box looked like it was moving. Then something started to rise out of it. I actually stopped jumping and rubbed my eyes as I watched what looked like a full-grown man rose out of a box that was like 2 inches thick. He had an elongated head with no hair. His skin was orange and his eyes were huge and pitch black. He raised one arm up to his side, and the box just kind of went into what I can only describe as a trench coat. He walked over to the only pavilion we have at the small park, grabbed the metal beam, holding up the overhang, and started to bang his head hard onto the beam over and over. Then without warning, he just stopped and his head quickly whipped around and stared right at me. It was like he could feel me watching him. A giant smile came across his face as those dark eyes just stared at me. He tilted his head back and forth a few times. I was about to start crying, and I don't know why I wanted to cry, but his face just filled me with terror. He turned around and kind of phased down the road, off into the distance. He was gone. So I think this one could definitely be like summoning of like a demon or something, because it's definitely not a spirit that came out of that box. So that's definitely something more demonic, dark. Would give me nightmares if I saw that. That's pretty creepy. I want to hear what you guys think of that one, because that one really gets to me. So I want to hear what you guys think. And then this is the last one that I have, and it's called the Facebook Stalker. And it says, I went to a bar about 20 minutes from my apartment in Brooklyn, New York. Because of construction and because I didn't know the way home. I'd only lived there for about a month, and it took some time to get home. When I got there, I noticed I had a Facebook message from someone I didn't know saying, nice apartment. Can I come in? I looked outside, and there was a guy who had followed me home. I have no idea how he got my Facebook details. I bolted the door and blocked him. So this one isn't so much paranormal. However, with social media nowadays, it is so easy to find people. Like, all you need is a first name, and if he was at the same bar that she was at, he could have heard her name, found her on Facebook, and decided to follow her home. So, creepy, nonetheless, and people actually do scare me a whole lot more than anything paranormal ever would, but just the moral of that story is just kind of to be careful. So that is all of the stories today. I want to hear if anything spooky happened to you guys today or on any day. So if something did, just shoot me a message, and I hope to see you guys next time.